Hi, Bhavna, over to you. We can start.
All right, welcome everyone. A very, very, very good morning. I see a lot of familiar faces. So welcome back to those who've joined us for previous mentoring circles. I also see some new names and faces. So welcome. I'm Bhavna Tour, founder of Shenomics. Shenomics is a mindful leadership platform for women. We take a mindful approach to helping women thrive in the workplace, and these mentoring circles are part of that initiative. So we like bringing you experts from different backgrounds, different expertise across various the entire spectrum of leadership capabilities. And today's guest speaker, I am very, very excited about, and we're going to introduce her to you shortly. But I first came across her a few months ago on LinkedIn, and I just saw she was putting out really, really good content on speaking up fearlessly. And at Shenomics, if there's one thing we're passionate about, it's helping to give women a bigger voice, a more assertive voice, a more powerful voice, because your voice matters. And the more and more you can speak up and assert your presence in any forum that you're a part of, whether it's online or offline, it does wonders. It does wonders for your professional growth, not to mention your personal level of confidence, which is why today's topic, how to speak fearlessly, is so, so important. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Charu so she can introduce and welcome our brilliant guest speaker for today.
Thank you, Bhavna. Thank you so much, Bhavna. And once again, it is my privilege to welcome Nausheen. Thank you so much, Nausheen, for a lot of us who would like to know a little bit more about Nausheen. Nausheen is a public speaking coach. She's an international speaker. She herself has spoken thrice at TEDx and has worked over 15 years with various business leaders, CEOs, executives, and also founders of startups to actually help them and coach them to actually speak up or speak impactfully on various platforms, which could also include BBC, TechCrunch, CNN, but not only on these public platforms, but also she has worked with individuals to actually see how you can be impactful, whether it's a large scale stage or you're on camera or it's just a one-on-one meeting. But the fact is, how do we really find our own voice and make it authentic and make it impactful? She's worked with Fortune 15 brands. So really, we're really happy to have you here, Nausheen, and thank you for being amongst us today, and over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for hosting me. It's been great connecting with you, and I am super excited to get to know all of you and your community. So yeah, it's for me, Zoom is a little bit weird today. I'm not sure why. I can't still see myself. Weird, but
We see you well, but now we don't see you. We did just a minute back.
I am not this technologically challenged usually.
Now it's fine. It's perfectly fine.
All right. I'm just gonna, yeah. Okay. Awesome. So a sneak peek at, oh, maybe we could ask everyone to mute. Awesome. So a sneak peek at what you can expect now for the next hour or so. First, I would love for all of you to participate. So I'm really sorry, but not very sorry. I'm not going to let you be lazy. I would love to hear from you at different points during this talk, and I will let you know exactly when. So is that a deal? Are you guys ready to participate? So give me a yes in the chat if you guys are good and you're ready and you want to talk and participate and have an engaging session. Yes, awesome. Love seeing that. Cool. The other interesting part about today is going to be that I'm not going to have any PowerPoint slides. So you're stuck with this face for a little bit. Hope that's okay. What I do want you to do is grab pen and paper because I'm going to ask you to make some notes along the way for yourself. So those are the two things that I wanted to cover. And with that, let's go. First, we've already covered in a lot of detail who I am, so I'm not going to bore you with any of the other details. What I do want you to remember is that I did not find my way to public speaking in a linear fashion. I guess a lot of people don't. I certainly didn't. I went through the corporate world. I was a trainer there. Then I jumped into the world of theater, improv, stand-up comedy, found myself writing and directing a crappy little segment on a late night comedy show, and then went into filmmaking, and then realized that I was never really a filmmaker. What I loved doing was showing people how to show up with impact, how to show up as their true selves, especially on camera, but also on stage. So today we're going to focus on good, strong speaking skills that you can use whether you're on a Zoom call or you're presenting in person to your team, or even if you're on a big stage. Because the speaking skills that you learn, that you take time to refine, will stay with you regardless of the platform. So the question that I have for you today, the first question is, do you find it easier to speak one-on-one with people, whether it's on Zoom or in person? Or do you find it easier to talk to a group of people? Just tell me one-on-one in the chat or group. One-to-one, yeah? Cool. A lot of one-on-ones, one-to-ones. Okay, Lakshmi is good with both. Sarita is good with both. Okay, so we have some groups here, but the majority is one-on-one. And I've made this presentation in multiple countries now with all kinds of people. And this is always, always the pattern. Most people are more comfortable speaking one-on-one than in a group setting. So the idea is that your speaking skills stay the same. Believe it or not, it's the same confidence, clarity, articulation, the same level of impact that you can make, whether you're speaking one-on-one or whether you're speaking to a group. What happens is that when we're in a group setting, because we're under more stress, more pressure, more eyes looking at us, we forget to be ourselves. We forget to be our natural, authentic, impactful selves. We get under pressure, we get under stress, and we appear less confident. So I have a little demo for you, and I would like you to tell me, I'll do the demo, and I would like you to tell me, how do you know when someone's confident or not when they're speaking? All right, so here's the demo, and I want you to note, this is where the paper and pen will come in handy. I want you to note what are the signs that you see of lack of confidence. So I'm going to talk to you about the importance of using like LinkedIn for like your business growth. And so in 7 months, right, I grew, and I didn't really, I started, and then I got a lot of growth, right? So, okay, what are we seeing? Lack of eye contact. What else? What signs did you see that this speaker, who was not me, I was role playing, it was me. And I want you to tell me, what did you see? Voice modulation, hesitation, no energy, filler words. Awesome, great. Fumbling voice, which are called filler words. stammering, pitch of voice, lack of confidence, repeating. Awesome. This is great because this means that you're already aware of what to look for, even if it's subconscious. Because remember, I haven't taught you any of these things yet. And most likely you haven't been taught this. This is stuff that you've picked up. So you're already aware of what signs someone might be showing when they're not feeling confident. But is that the only way? So I'm going to show you another demo, and I want you to tell me now if you feel like this person still has low confidence and why and how. Okay, so I started talking about public speaking when it was resonating a lot with my community, and I was actually really still at my full-time job. And then at the time, what I was doing was I was getting really into LinkedIn, and then I quit my job, and I just haven't been really going there, and I really wanted to do this one. So then what I did was that I made sure that I did that, and I really dedicated my time and effort to that. Okay. Yeah. A little comedy. What were the signs here? Because this person was different from the first person, right? What are you seeing here? Very fast? Too fast? Too fast? What else? What else other than being fast? Eager to finish off? Hand motion. So you see, it's not just one type of speaker that shows lack of confidence. You can show lack of confidence in many different ways. So what you need to be aware of is whether you have that adrenaline going, your heart is beating fast, you just want to get things over with. A lot of us have that issue, right? We feel that, oh, I'm just going to get this over with. Let me just do it. Or whether you're not feeling up for it, you're feeling shy, you're feeling not super enunciating, that also shows lack of confidence. So let's assume that all the things that you identified, speaking faster or speaking too slow, having too much energy or having low energy, having eye contact, the right gestures. Let's assume that you have all of those things. Will that make you an amazing speaker? If I can check off all those things on the list, the opposite of what you identified, would that make you a great speaker automatically? Give me a yes if you think that it will, and a no if you disagree. All right, we already have a yes, no, yes to some extent. Knowing your matter is most important. Sure, that's important. I wouldn't say most important, it's important. Yes, partially, no. Nice. So we have a variation. This is what I was going for. There is absolutely a way to show that you're confident by ticking off all those checkboxes. Eye contact, gestures, energy, voice modulation, standing here, saying this, having this expression. But there's also, of course, the inner confidence, which is irreplaceable. And it's absolutely possible, sadly, it's absolutely possible to put on this act of having high confidence while not feeling it on the inside. So my approach is always to work on both levels. I will never tell you, guys, if you do this, this, and this, you will be a confident speaker. No, you can put on the appearance of a confident speaker, but to be truly confident, you have to be confident on the inside as well. So that's the good news. The bad news is that inner confidence is, of course, a much longer endeavor. It's not something I can teach you in 20, 30 minutes or even 30 days. But the good news is that I can give you clues as to how to build that inner confidence or how to start thinking about that inner confidence. So what you want to do is make sure that you're creating a feedback loop. So here, I would love for you to take the paper that you have, paper and pen, and right before and you can circle it or draw a box around it. So before the presentation or before the talk, and then you draw an arrow, and in the middle, write during. So what to do during a talk or a camera, or a camera, or speaking on camera, and then draw an arrow one more time. And your third box is what to do after. So what to do before public speaking, what to do during, and what to do after. And now you have 2 arrows on your paper connecting those 2 boxes. And now I want you to draw a third arrow from that last box, which says after, all the way back to the front, to the first box, which says before. So now you have this feedback loop. This feedback loop is at the heart of you creating confidence for yourself, using every single public speaking opportunity. And by public speaking, by the way, I mean speaking to a group of people anywhere. This is public speaking. When you're talking to your team, it's public speaking. So using every single opportunity where you're speaking in public to create a positive feedback loop for yourself. What I mean is that you're not just going to think of every time that you're speaking as isolated incidents. You're going to use each time as proof that you've done it, you can do better, and to understand exactly what you can do better. And once you create this positive feedback loop for yourself, that's the absolute first step in increasing your confidence, using evidence from the past to show yourself that you're capable of doing that and so much more. So, next question for you guys. On a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous are you when you have to go and speak in public? When you have to go and speak to a group of people? So just give me a number in the chat on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very confident, so less nervous, and 10 being very, very nervous. Okay, 6, 7. Oh, 7's a common number here. 7.5. Jove likes being different. 8, 4. We have some 4s. Good for you guys. Great. So we're on the higher end, and then we have some middles. Okay, I'm interested in the 5s. That's interesting. That means it's a hit or miss, I'm thinking. Sometimes you are, sometimes you're not. So I'm going to tell you one mindset change, and then we'll go straight into the more actionable stuff in the session. So one thing that has helped me personally when I feel nervous going and talking in front of a group of people is that I reframe that nervousness as excitement. So I literally have a talk with myself, telling myself that, Nausheen, I understand. You seem to be feeling nervous, but actually, you know what it is? You are feeling excited. You are so excited that you have this opportunity to go and speak to these people. These people are going to learn so much. Even if they don't learn so much, hopefully they'll learn one thing. Even if they don't learn one thing, hopefully you'll make them smile. Maybe you'll make them think about something differently. How cool is that? Does everyone get to do that? No. You are really excited and you want to do well. You really want to do well. That's what the nerves are. And believe it or not, that has calmed me down. It has really made me feel so much less insecure, because nervousness is the negative feeling and excitement is a positive one. It has made me feel less negative, less insecure about my ability to deliver, and positive about what I'm feeling. And this is not just fluff, by the way. It's proven by science, because what happens is that nervousness and excitement produce similar physical and physiological responses in your body. So what that means is that it's up to your brain to interpret that feeling, to interpret the beating heart, to interpret the nerves, to interpret your hands trembling. If your brain can learn to interpret it as excitement, which is a positive feeling, it's going to go to a positive place, and you're going to operate from a place of optimism and hope and excitement, all the good stuff that you need to perform well. You won't operate from a place of anxiety, nervousness. Oh my God, what's going to happen if I don't do well? You're going to operate from a place of, I am really pumped to do well, and I hopefully will. So I hope that mindset change helps. Like I said, this is all long-term work. It's not going to happen the first time, but it will, trust me, happen the 10th time that you tell yourself this and you go into that meeting or you go on that stage. All right, so now we're going to get into the actionable stuff, which I know you guys love and you guys are waiting for. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you exactly what to do before, during, and after a talk to be impactful, to be confident. So before, you need to go and speak. The idea is to calm your nerves and to get into the right mindset, to get into the zone, to turn yourself on. That's what I like to call it. You have to become a more animated, expressive version of yourself when you're addressing a group of people. Why? Can anyone guess? Why do you need to be more expressive, more energetic, more animated when you're talking to a group of people versus one-on-one? Any guesses? No wrong answers here. You're representing a collective energy in the room. Nice. To gain the attention. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Attention's a big one. Keeps the environment free for discussion to leave an impact. Excitement travels. Yeah. Garima, what Garima is saying is very close to what Tema was saying. Keep engaged. Yeah. You guys are nailing this. So when you are the speaker and you're speaking to a group of people, you are the energy ceiling and the energy floor for them. They are either going to try to rise to your energy level, which is hopefully what I'm helping you do here today, or they're going to sink. They're going to shrink to your low energy and that monotone, and they are going to just think that this is how the speaker wants us to be because this is how they're speaking, so we don't need to really pay attention. So it is absolutely your responsibility, whether it's good or bad, fortunate or unfortunate, it's your responsibility to maintain the energy in the room. And that's not just for the sake of energy, it's absolutely for the sake of getting them to pay attention, to retain attention, and to remember what you're saying. It's a tool to be more impactful. So knowing that we have to be not just calm, definitely calm, but also high energy, and not just high energy, but also expressive, more expressive than we would be in a one-on-one conversation. You should be developing a warm-up routine right before going on camera or going on stage. A warm-up routine, or what I like calling a pre-game routine, has 3 parts. It can have 3 parts. You can have as many parts as you like. It's totally up to you. I'm going to show you a pre-game routine with 3 different parts. And the idea behind this is that you should stop whatever you're doing right before you need to go on camera or on stage. Just give yourself a solid 5 minutes. Stop checking your email, stop talking to people, stop thinking about the presentation or rehearsing the presentation. Give yourself 5 minutes and go to a place. If you're not at home, for example, go to a quiet place and do these warm-ups. So what are they? What I want to do is get a volunteer, a brave volunteer who's willing to come on camera and do these warm-ups with me. So do we have any brave volunteers? Hard to do this by myself. Anyone? You can just say yes or volunteer.
Kavita has raised her hand.
Awesome.
Kavita Pasricha.
Let's have, yeah, can we have both of us on the screen if we're...
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Thank you. Your poor Zoom challenged guest.
No,
Hi,
not at all.
Kavita.
Hey,
How are you doing this morning?
doing good. Doing good, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you for being our brave volunteer. Okay, so we're going to go through 3 different types of warm-ups. There are physical warm-ups. The second one is vocal warm-ups, and the third one is expression warm-ups.
Nausheen,
So
just a second. Are you both, can you all see Kavita and Nausheen? Yeah?
I see you now. I only see you. Earlier, I could see both of us, but then you changed something.
It's focusing on the speaker right now.
One
Yeah,
second.
it's the speaker view. I'm going to take a second as well and just close the curtain.
Charul, let me do it.
One second, Bhavna. Okay. All right. Okay, go ahead.
Oops, sorry. This is so weird that my Zoom is, as soon as if I go off camera, it doesn't let me come back on. And this is like completely a new problem. Guys, I'm just doing the same thing again. I'm going to go back out and come back in really quick. Almost back. Huh. And this is why. Okay.
Now just work.
Guys,
I think now it's done. Yeah, now.
Okay, cool. Yeah? Can you, I still only see me. And I had to change cameras, so I hope this still works. But now I only see me. I don't know if you guys are seeing. Ah, great. We're back.
Yes, we're seeing you.
Awesome. That was a nice unexpected break. Cool. So we're going to be doing physical warm-ups, vocal warm-ups, and expression warm-ups. For the physical warm-ups, it's like what you would do before you go to the gym to warm up. So I'm going to lead you through it. The idea is to get the stress and the tension, the out from your body. So we start with the arms. Okay, so we start shaking our arms out, right? So we're just like shaking out the stress, getting rid of it. Yeah, and then the same with your legs. You can do it as you're sitting or standing. So shake out one leg, then shake out the other. And guys, you can make a note of this so that you can do it by yourself. And then let's do some shoulder rolls. So just roll out the shoulders. Nice, slow movement, 360 as you're feeling the shoulders and those shoulder joints. And then let's reverse the movement. Yeah, nice and slow. We're not in a hurry. The idea is to really relax your body and relax your muscles. And guys, feel free to do this with us. And now let's do some head rolls. So doing tracing full circles with your head. Again, slowly, so that you can feel all the different points. And if you're like me, you will hear your neck cracking. You will ignore that and keep going. So a few times in one direction and then reverse direction. Okay. So the idea is, like I said, to just relax your body and let yourself feel less stressed. Let yourself feel a little bit looser. Okay. So you should already be feeling a bit looser, a bit more into the zone of yeah.
Energized. Yeah.
Oh, you're already feeling energized. Cool.
Yes.
This was just to relax you, but it's cool that you're already feeling energized. So at this point, it depends on your energy and your nerves. So for some people, they still aren't in the zone of high energy. In that case, I would advise you to do some jumping jacks or do some bouncing. Some people listen to their favorite song and dance to it a little bit. So the idea is first to relax and then to intentionally raise your energy. Because what happens is a lot of people have that excess energy from nerves, from adrenaline. So we don't want to use energy unintentionally. You remember the second demo I did for you? That was a speaker who had unintentional high energy that was uncontrollable. So we don't want that. We want to calm ourselves down so we feel more in control, more centered. And then we want to intentionally increase our energy by doing a little bit of cardio if you need to. And then we come to the vocal warm-ups. So here, the idea is to warm up your vocal cords. We start with an and I'd ask you to take your fingers and put them against your lips. Hopefully they're clean because I didn't ask you for that earlier. So, so put them against your lips because I want you to feel them buzzing. And then we create an sound and we hold it for a while. So, you want to try? Are you doing it? Nice. So we do this a few times. The idea here is to warm up the vocal cords so that you're not feeling hoarse. Because what we don't want you to do is we don't want you to clear your throat. A lot of people do that, but actually it can damage your vocal cords. It puts extra stress on them. So try not to or break away from the habit of clearing your throat and do a few of these mms and hold them for a while, just like Kavita was holding them. And now the second step of this, these are, by the way, vocal warm-ups that singers use before they go on stage. And there are many other types. These are just two types that I choose because they're very easy, but you can also look up other types of vocal warm-ups to do. So the second part of this is that we start the same way, but we open up our mouth into different vowel sounds. So first we start this way, and then I'll remove my fingers and open up my mouth into an sound. So I'll just show you. Want to try? Nice. Very cool. A lot of people can't hold that sound for a long time, so you're doing a really good job of doing that. So let's do the next vowel. So we can do an E sound. So awesome. Very cool. So when you're doing the vocal warm-ups, I would advise you to go through all the vowels. So do a, e, o, and do them all one by one. You can do a second round if you like. And Kavita, you've already done a few. So now if you just speak, say a few things, do you feel like your voice is a little bit richer, a little bit more textured?
It feels so before saying anything already. And then I must add, it also feels it feels like a relaxation technique in itself for the throat.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's very, very useful. You can actually do these vocal warm-ups every day, even if you're not public speaking, and that will train your voice. They're very good for your vocal cords and for your voice. It's like stretching for your vocal cords. So now we come to the third part, which is my favorite, which is warm-ups specifically designed for being on stage or being on camera. And these are expression warm-ups. And the idea is to get yourself in that zone where you are telling yourself that you need to be more expressive. So a simple way of doing this is that we take an expression and then we say it in different moods and styles. So let's get an expression like, it's early on a Saturday morning, but I'm still pumped. Okay, so it's early on a Saturday morning, but I'm still pumped. So Kavita, I want you to say this first in a very natural, normal tone, neutral tone, how you would say it.
It's early on a Saturday morning and I'm still pumped.
Cool. And now I'd like you to say it as if you're really excited.
It's early on a Saturday morning and I'm still pumped.
Nice, nice. And now I want you to say it as if you're really angry. Your neighbor has woken you up at 5 a.m.
It's early on a Saturday morning and I'm still pumped.
Okay. You have a nice way of being angry. Sure, that works. And now I want you to say it as if you are delivering a joke on a stand-up routine.
You know what? It's early on a Saturday morning and I'm just pumped.
Nice, very nice. And now you are explaining it to a 2-year-old.
Beta, it's early on a Saturday morning and we are pumped.
Nice. So you see, you have a range of emotions, expressions, micro expressions, voice inflections that you can bring on when you know that you have to portray a specific mood. The difference is that when you are going on camera or when you're speaking on stage, you don't have me or another voice telling you, be this way, be this way. You have to develop that voice for yourself. But if you can, then you can be more expressive and you can figure out what are the right voice inflections I should use. So all of us have this range. You know how they say actors have a range, or some actors have a wide range and some have a limited range and they get typecast. So all of us have range as regular people. What we do is that we forget. We forget that our voice has many, many tones, many pitches, many moods it can achieve. We forget that our face is capable of expressing more than 2 emotions. If we can make an effort to remember it, so this pregame ritual, this part of it, it's to remind yourself, both your brain and your facial muscles, that you are absolutely capable of creating different moods and different emotions through your own expressions. And if you can do that, then you're going to create a more impactful and engaging experience. Thanks, Kavita. That was the end of your Brave Volunteer experience. Thank you so much for
Thank you
volunteering.
so much. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. So let's get to what you would do during. We have been reminded very, very nicely that it's 15 minutes to go, but I think the interruptions, we got a little bit off track, but I can get us back on track. And you can change the view now if you guys like. I think you might need to do that because we're still on the, okay, Charu's on it. Cool. What to do during your presentation. So now you're warmed up and you're in the zone and you want to deliver. You have your content with you, but how do you deliver it in the best way? So if you guys still have your pen and paper, I call this the magic trifecta. Okay, there are 3 things that you should look out for, that you should always be focusing on: your voice, your expressions, and your vocal cords. your energy, and your body language. Your voice, just like we were just talking about earlier, has a lot of capability, a lot of potential that you're usually not using. So I would love for you to experiment with your voice a little bit more. And this is something I teach in more detail in my coaching. So I'm not going to go into detail now because of the time, but I'll just touch upon it. So when it comes to your voice, you have your pitch, your pauses, your pronunciation or enunciation, your projection, which is your volume, and your excitement, your variation, the way that you're putting in different moods, different emotions into your voice. If I could recommend that you work on one thing, it would be pauses. Go for everything else as well. That's what will make you a strong speaker. But if you don't know when to pause, you will always be stuck at beginner level. And when should you pause? Do any of you guys have any guesses on what are good times to pause while you're speaking? Any guesses? Any wild ideas after a question? Yeah. When you need a breath, looking for answers? Yeah. And what are some other times? When you're stuck? Sure. After a bold statement, I like that. When you're changing points, engaging participants, when you're making a strong point. Yeah. So there are two types of pauses: functional pauses and dramatic pauses. The functional pauses are what the first few responses were about. When you ask a question, of course, you should be pausing. It's a logical pause. When you're going from one segment of your presentation to another, it's a logical pause. It may not produce an emotional effect in the audience, but it will give you and them a time to breathe, which is great. And then the next level of pausing is what some of you are saying now, when you're making a strong point. Just like I did just there. When you want people to sit up and pay attention. When you want to vary the tone and the speed at which you're speaking. So I could be really excited about this one segment that I'm talking to you about right now, because I want you to pay attention to it. And then I will introduce these pauses and emphasize every word that I'm saying. So you see how here the pauses are working hand in hand with my change of pace. And this is where you really start getting interesting. This is the mark of a strong speaker who is in control of their pacing, in control of their pauses. And they're not just taking the logical, functional pauses, which are absolutely necessary, but also taking pauses in between their points so that the audience sits up. It's all about pattern interrupt. If you can interrupt the monotonous tone and pace, the same pace that you are going to be using the whole time, if you can interrupt it, you get people to sit up and listen. And that's what you want. All right, enough about the voice. Let's go into the energy. We talked about energy right at the beginning, and we've been talking about it throughout the session. So all I'm going to say here is that if you remember the first two demos that I did, one speaker had incredibly low energy and the other one had incredibly high. So what I wanted to show you there was that there is absolutely a Goldilocks balance to obtain. You don't have to just aim to be energetic all the time, because that's not sustainable and it's going to be tiring for you and it's going to be really weird for the other person listening to you. But you have probably seen a lot of speakers like this because they are not doing it right. It would be exhausting to see me like that all the time, just as it would be boring to see me in low energy all the time. The idea is to find that balance. It is on the higher side, not on the lower side, but it's not the absolute highest energy that you can bring, because that turns people off. It makes them feel like you're just there ranting, or you're some kind of politician, or you're some kind of TV show host, game show host. We don't want that. We want to create this nice conversational tone. I hope you're getting that feeling of me having a conversation with all of you. And I'm doing that by bringing what I feel is an optimal level of energy and engagement. And the third thing in the magic trifecta, do you guys have it on your papers? It was voice and energy. And what was the third thing?
Body language.
Body language. Nice. Body language, believe it or not, is one of the easiest parts to get right. All the things you've heard are true. Have good posture, maintain eye contact, make sure that you are using your hands. But more than that, don't sway, especially if you're standing and you're speaking in person. The next time that you see people speaking, make a note. They're going to be swaying if they're not experienced. They're going to be just doing this, rocking or shifting their leg, shifting their weight from one hip to the other. A lot of women do this. I did this as well. Don't do that. To show confidence in your body language, make sure your feet are firmly planted on the ground. And if you're sitting, make sure your butt is firmly planted in your chair. Don't move the lower half of your body, and animate yourself with the top half. That's step one. Step two, once you've mastered this, step two, especially in person, is then you can take some steps, but don't always walk. I'm sure you guys have seen speakers who can't stop walking. They look like lions in a cage. It's not fun because they can't control themselves. They just have to keep walking. You can absolutely walk on a stage, but what you should be doing is walking, and then stopping and addressing the audience and saying a few words or going over a few slides, and then taking a few more steps, and then coming back to another spot. So adding in the times when you are standing still is essential. So we've covered before, we've covered during, and for after. I just want to tell you that every time that you speak, every time that you go into a meeting and do a good job or an okay job or a bad job, take some time, just like you took time before the meeting, take some time after to debrief with yourself. Tell yourself, or take notes if you can, what went well. This is essential. You have to think about what went well. That's the only way to build your confidence. What went well and what you can improve on. And that will help you close that feedback loop that you drew on your paper in the beginning. That is a step that 99% of people miss. And because of that, they don't improve as much as they could. So if you can take that time to debrief with yourself, you're going to be doing yourself a favor. You're going to be intentionally building that self-confidence, because you know what? The next time you're feeling nervous, you can look at your notes from the last time and you're going to see what I did well. This, and this. Oh, that's right. I did do that well. I can do it well next time too. Why not? So that was the core of the presentation. And I want to make sure we have time for questions. I know I went a little bit over, but I hope we can still do it.
That's okay, Nausheen.
Yeah,
we can, if you're okay, we can take another 5 extra minutes so that we can take a few more questions. So we have a question from, I think, Anshu, who's saying, what body language is ideal to maintain for virtual meetings?
Yeah, absolutely. So for virtual meetings, the first thing that you should be aware of is, where is your frame? So maybe you can do a test if it's a big presentation beforehand, so that you understand what people are seeing. And then the very first thing to do is to make sure that people can see your hands. A lot of times people see a floating head, and that's kind of okay, but it's better if people can see a bit more of you. Also, of course, when it comes to virtual meetings, a lot of technical factors come into play. So make sure you have a few of the other things in place. For example, make sure that your camera is at eye level. It's not too high or too low. Make sure that you have something nice in your background. Try not to be against a white wall if possible, because that will make you more interesting. And try to make sure that you're maintaining eye contact, especially if you're presenting. So right now, for example, my aim is to look straight into my webcam, straight into my camera, because that way you will feel like I'm looking straight at you. And if this is difficult for you, because it is, if you want to make sure you're looking at other people as well, take your Zoom window and drag it up. So make it smaller and drag it up as much as possible to your webcam. That way, even if you're looking there, so now I'm looking at Charu, I'm not looking at the camera, but it probably still looks like I'm looking more or less at the camera because she's very close to the top of my computer. So I hope that helps.
All right. Thank you. The other one is from Priya. How do you play with the pitch, given that there are pauses for technical presentation or in an project update? So basically, how do you play with the pitch?
How do you play with the pitch? The best way to do it is to make sure you're rehearsing your presentation beforehand, because that's when you can think of, what should I do here? Should I have it a little bit lower, like I'm doing right now? Should I go into a higher energy here and a higher pitch because I want to show excitement? Should I show people this is how you should not be speaking? Because that time when someone spoke to me like that, that was not fun. So all of this stuff you can think of, you can really add that playfulness if you're rehearsing and you're practicing beforehand. Again, something that easily 80 to 90% of the people don't do. So playing with the pitch is all about making sure you're not monotonous, you're not maintaining the same pitch, and making sure that you are practicing beforehand, ideally recording yourself so that you can watch yourself back and really see what it is that you're doing. How well are you modulating your voice?
Great, thank you. The other one is from Dipti. What do you suggest to improve pronunciations?
Right. So there are two things here. There's pronunciation and there's enunciation. Pronunciation is work that is outside my scope in a way because I'm not an accent coach. I am not a speech therapist, or I guess most of the time it's accent coaches who work with pronunciation. What I can do is, of course, guide my clients on the correct way to pronounce it in some accents. But pronunciation is about your accent, and you don't always need to correct it if it's an acceptable pronunciation where you're coming from, right? For example, I say dance and my husband says dance, and I say can't and my husband says can't, because he's more British that way. And I've just somehow adopted a little bit more of the American accent after living in the US. Both pronunciations are fine. Enunciation is how you are clearly saying your words and sounding out every syllable, regardless of how you pronounce it. And enunciation is what really makes you confident. So this is me not really enunciating because I'm not opening my mouth and I'm just mumbling and I'm not really confident. This is me enunciating, and it's like I'm filling each word like a balloon with air. I'm not letting the balloons be deflated. I'm opening my mouth and I'm making an effort to enunciate my words. And I'm also making an effort to make sure that each word is clear and separate, so that even if I'm speaking fast, you can still understand me because I am still enunciating every single word. That is absolutely a habit, a practice that I would love for you to do more regularly.
All right. We're going to take last two questions. One is, what advice would you give for introverts who get self-conscious during such talks?
Yeah. So that's where that inner confidence, that inner work is going to come in. Like I said, it's not something I can teach you in a few minutes. It's longer term work. It's about creating those positive feedback loops for yourself. It's about understanding your own strengths and opportunity areas. And you're only going to do that if you start practicing more and recording yourself, and then watching yourself back, giving yourself feedback on your voice, your energy, your body language, and in addition, documenting how you're feeling, both when you practice and when you're going out into the real world, and really getting to the bottom of what is it that's holding you back? What is the fear? and working out strategies or working with the coach to understand how to overcome those fears that are holding you back. And it's absolutely possible. It might take you a few weeks or a few months to counter it, but the moment you start being more intentional and the moment you accept that, sure, maybe as an introvert, I need to try a little bit harder. I need to work a little bit more to portray the same level of confidence, but it's absolutely possible.
All right. And the last question we'll take by Lakshmi. If someone whom we are presenting raises some conflicting thought or try to put us down, how do you handle emotions or expressions and also the tone when we're replying to them?
Great question. First, you can set expectations in the beginning about interruptions. A lot of people don't do this because they feel shy, but absolutely, it's possible to say at the beginning of your presentation, I'm not going to take questions during. If you have questions, please let me know after. So at least they are not interrupting your flow. Now, if they're asking questions at the end that you don't agree with, that might be rude or challenging, you first need to practice how to respond in a polite but firm way, and also learn how to say no or how to say that you don't know. A lot of people get very confused or flustered if they're asked something that they don't know the answer to and they just try to think of the answer on the spot. Don't do that. Have more confidence in yourself and tell yourself that even if I don't know the answer to this, I know the answer to many other things, and I can probably point them in the right direction so that they can find the answer themselves. For example, I just told you guys, I'm not qualified to work with you on pronunciation because I'm not an accent coach, but I gave you a clue as to where you can find that. So, of course, it's exactly what you're thinking. It's about not getting flustered. And the more you can practice it with a friend. Give your friend a list of 5 really horrible questions someone can ask you, and for a specific context, right? And ask them to ask you those questions, and then practice being polite, firm, putting a smile on your face, even if you're feeling like on the inside. That is the mark of someone who's confident and in control. Don't let them faze you, because if they see that you're phased, that you're upset, then they've won. You don't want them to win. You want to win.
All right. So thank you, Nausheen. And we're at the end of our session.
Mhm.
So, Bhavna, over to you.
All right, Nausheen, I just want to take a moment and thank you for taking out time to be with us this morning and packing this session with so many simple yet actionable and practical takeaways that I'm sure everyone, I see a lot of nodding heads, I see everyone can put to practice immediately and see that difference in how they show up when they speak up. And I hope this is an encouragement to all of you to now really put yourself out there more in those situations where you can speak up more and more and more, because with practice you're only going to get better and more confident. So Nausheen, thank you so much for doing this for us. This was really a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I just put my LinkedIn in the group chat. So happy to connect with all of you. If you have any other questions, if you want to see what else I do, I'd love for you to see my LinkedIn, because I share a lot of stuff on that all the time.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Well, thank you, everyone. I hope this was a wonderful and insightful session for all of you. Look forward to seeing you back for future mentoring circles. Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you
Thank
so much.
you.
Happy weekend, everyone.